When you're in that bunk at night, maybe you have some contact with people, but very limited. Maybe you have 10 years left to go still. There's a point where most of them tell me, I had to dig deep to a place that to even go on.
They're human beings who made terrible decisions and then were caught and are facing the repercussions of it.
They feel judged. They feel set aside by society. They feel like I'm unacceptable. Half my family won't accept me. Like in Jesus' ministry, he's constantly interacting with these crowds of people who have been like shunned and ostracized, and Jesus like almost just makes them a lesson on the spot. And I think it helps us to show up when like we take the controls off and stop trying to fix and stop trying to manage everybody else. Just being there with an open mind and loving people, man, and just showing up as much as you can, open to what God's doing with it.
Welcome to Alive and Sober with Reno C, where real life, recovery, and faith collide. Hey guys, welcome to Alive and Sober with Reno C, where we are broken people trying to help other broken people. We have my friend Jon K back, who is a killer guy, and I was very lucky and blessed the other night to go to his RIP program and speak and see what it is that goes on there. And it was nothing at all like what I thought. And if you would you tell people kind of what RIP is and what you guys are doing?
So RIP stands for Lincoln, Nebraska Reintegration Program. I work with the Northern Lighthouse Church, and we do an outreach with the prison system. They have a work release prison where you can get back into the community. So people who've been incarcerated for anywhere 1, 2, 10, 15, 20 years, they're on their way out back into society. They usually have 2 years, a year left, something like that. We're able to pick up folks out of corrections and bring them out to a recovery meeting. And so we have a room full of guys and a room full of gals, and we do real life recovery.
And it wasn't just a recovery meeting. There was killer food. There was trivia and a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it was, I didn't get to stay to see him break off into small groups and stuff, but it's so inspiring, man. And for those of you that didn't see Jon, you're in recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
And we got into your story when we did the 12 Steps episode. If you want to, go back and listen to that. It was so interesting to me. I had this thought in my head because I'd never done anything I'd been in jail, but never prison. Mm-hmm. And I had this television view of what the prisoners would be like. Mm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like thinking of Mayor of Kingstown, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, these guys are going to come in and be like, ugh. And they did have tattoos on their heads and stuff like that.
For sure.
but it was their demeanor and the way they acted was just as normal as it could be. And they're all in recovery, right?
Absolutely.
And they're trying so hard to get back into society. And the thing I noticed was, one, how receptive they were. Some of them, were kind of like, whatever, like me. That's how I would have been. Like, okay, the ham's good. You know what I mean? Like, but the thing I noticed that really struck me was in the beginning when you were doing the thing where you say your name and what you want. And I noticed that the things they wanted, like the one guy said ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
and then it was like ride my bike or get a steak. And I was sitting there thinking back to when someone told me when I first got into sobriety, and they asked me how old I was when I started drinking. And I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, whatever. And it was right when I got sober. And he goes, my brother, you're still 12 or 13. As soon as you start trying to escape, you stop maturing, right? So when I looked at them, I identified with them so much because we were the same in especially the manner of, one, I very easily could have been in their shoes. You and I talked about that off camera.
Absolutely.
Like, there's so many things that I did that I should have been in there, and for some reason wasn't, but it hit me that the addictions they had stopped them from maturing. And when you make decisions as in a 30-year-old body as a 12-year-old child, you're going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. There's no one there to smack your hand when you put it on the stovetop, right?
For sure.
I just had this overwhelming feeling like I did when I first go into recovery meetings of how much alike we are when I thought we were so much different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know, it's so easy not knowing somebody's history to go, look at that piece of trash.
Absolutely. And a lot of them feel that.
Yeah. Well, then they
feel
talked about that too.
Yeah.
Like when they went through and were saying, you know, what they wanted to kind of get rid of, or what was it? What that was hurting them?
The label of their identity.
The label and criminal.
Yep.
Garbage.
Yep.
You know, stuff that was, they feel so beaten. And hurt people,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you find that when you're working with them? Because you're with them all. I was there for an hour and a half. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the folks we work with in some sense are like 90 years old because they've been through so much pain and heartache. And in another sense, they're like 10 years old. It's like the duality of those of us who've been through recovery in some ways. It's like, I'm an old soul, but I have the maturity of a teenager.
Right. Yeah.
And those two natures are kind of in there together.
And it's such a complicated mix.
For sure.
Like of, you know, and then the heart, you know, like I want to be with my wife and child. I want to be, it's not that they're not loving Satanist animals.
Absolutely.
They're human beings who made terrible decisions and then were caught and are facing the repercussions of it. And now this prison life, I had a guy tell me he had just gotten out of prison back at home. And he said, you know, you're swimming with sharks in there and it's eat or be eaten. And it's really hard to get back out into society because all the rules change like that. And you're expected to be completely different day one. Boom. Now you're out here. You better act like it. And it's like, wait a minute. And if you're dealing with a mind and maturity level of a 12-year-old, that's got to be impossible. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about myself too. I'm the same way. I argued. I'm trying to get better at it, but I argued like a 12-year-old. You know, everything was everybody else's fault. I wasn't responsible for anything. You know, get away with it and who cares? And like, you know, it's like I stole the candy. I ate it, you know, and it's like, yeah, but you're 30, dude. You know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks in incarceration have learned survival skills to guard themselves, to survive, to make themselves present a certain way so that they're safe. I mean, total survival instincts kick in, I think, in a lot of ways, and especially the ones that have been, you know, inside for 15, 20 years. It's like the institutionalism of like the schedule's the same every day. You know, I'm completely provided for. There's just a sort of institutional approach to life. Everything is industrially clean all around me all the time. That the outside world is just very overwhelming. And so that's one of my favorite things about our ministry is we get to like bring people who feel this sense of a label. They feel judged. They feel set aside by society. They feel like I'm unacceptable. Half my family won't accept me. I'm marked. I'm kind of got this scarlet letter, prisoner identity, and then bring them out into the world and be like, no, we're just people. We're people. You know, like you are loved. Let's talk about, you know, I'm able to do personal passes, even just one-on-one with guys. And so even like when Star Wars was putting out the newer trilogy, I took a whole bunch of guys just to go to Star Wars and just watch a movie, eat some, you know, drink some fountain soda and chat. And it's just like, we're just humans. Like, let's strip off that prison identity. It's a beautiful thing.
Dude, it was one of the coolest things. And I was so inspired by watching how you handled it and how you were so loving, but at the same time, it was structured. There was a time to start. There was a time to talk. There's a time to be quiet. There's a time. It kind of was, it was set up in a way. You know, I had in my head like Johnny Cash playing at a prison. You know what I mean? Like yeah, the water's bad. You know, like because I'm an idiot.
Though.
But it was like
I do play guitar, but I don't bust it out at rip very much.
But you know what I mean? Like I didn't know what to expect.
That's funny.
And it was like everything else with fear. Then you get in there and you're like, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
These guys just want to be part of something and they want to belong and, you know, they're just like all of us.
And no matter how tough because I did this in a different way when I was never in prison, but I tried to put this false bravado on when I was
For sure.
partying and, I'm this and then this and then this. And then if you talk to me in a situation like that, I would have been like, I want an ice cream cone. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
it was so, I was identifying with them so much. And the faith aspect of it that you're bringing to them is exactly what I needed. I'm just trying to I tried to put myself in their situation the best I can in my head. But it's like, without God, I never would have been sober. And you're putting that in front of them, and they can take it or not.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's the thing about faith is like, you're not going to beat somebody in the head with it and make them do it, but you can show them and lead them. And I thought you did a beautiful job at that. How did you get from, and I forget, dude, alcoholic addict?
I'm alcoholic. Yeah.
Alcoholic, me too. So how did you get from there to, I want to do this thing with prisoners?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, sometimes it's surreal almost to me because I've never been incarcerated. I certainly could have been based on my past. For me, the seeds were planted a long time ago. My dad founded the church in 97. And I was part of the youth group and in the high school youth group. I didn't really know Jesus yet personally, but I was a part of the church. My dad's a pastor, grew up in the church, very church culture, Reformed background, specifically Christian Reformed Church. So like Dutch Reformed Calvinist roots, real staunch, high church, conservative, but I was part of the youth group, and they assigned me to do youth group work with the junior high kids. They were looking for a Bible study. So I started a Bible study for these guys. I had like 3 kids in junior high come. We just started reading the word together. And I'm like, I want to grow this group. And so, this was like the Wild West of the late 90s youth groups. I think we were all figuring out what this even looked like. Churches have youth groups and youth pastors now, and it's unstructured and kind of crazy. And anyway, we had a kid coming, and I'm like, I want to grow this group, and so I wouldn't advise this outreach strategy, but I was like, I want some kids to start coming that aren't normally churched, because my dad was always like, we want to start a church for those who aren't churched. We want new people. We're not trying to just dredge up the same folks. We want to do outreach, and so I'm like. So my friend Jeff, he's this short little guy. He's a redhead. He's like full of all this vim and vigor. And I'm like, tell you what, I'll pay you $1 for every kid you bring to this youth group. Now, this shows you the inflation rate at the time.
$1.
His economy at the time was like, okay, $1.
$1's good.
He started bringing kids. So the next week, there were like 2 more guys at this Bible study. And then the next week, there were 5 more. And then pretty soon, there was a van full of kids.
And you're running out of money.
So I didn't have money back then either. You know what I'm saying? But I'm following through. I'm paying. And I'm not saying this is ethical or wise, but this is the outreach strategy of the Wild West of 90s youth groups, right? And so pretty soon we have 2 vans of kids, and then we have 50 kids. But he was in the public school. He knew kids from group homes. He knew kids in the foster system. And that just happened to be who he was running around with. And so all of a sudden we were picking up kids in the system, kids that didn't have families, kids that were abandoned by their folks or were going through abuse. And that became our youth group. At one point, we had like half of our group was Gothic kids wearing all black and, wearing all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is awesome, but at the same time hard, right? Because you're bringing in kids that with like real problems. And that was where the seeds were planted in me, because it was like this veil was lifted to a whole world that I wasn't familiar with. I grew up in a 2-parent home and just seeing some of the struggles of these kids. There was one girl, I was picking her up from a town called Waverly, about 15, 20 miles out from where I lived. And I remember like picking her up every week for youth group, this young gal. And in the midst of that, her mom actually left her, abandoned her for an online relationship. It was probably like AOL Instant Messenger back then, like time-stamped, right? Yeah. But her mom actually was leaving her in the house way too long by herself. No father in the house. And all of a sudden she was alone, and the CPS got involved. She was put in foster care. But every week while this was happening, I was picking her up for youth group. And I remember one time on the drive in, just watching her just bawl. It's like, I don't have a home anymore. Like I'm going into the system. Yeah. And just... she gave me the grace of letting me into her sorrow, and I would just sit and listen to her and pray for her. And sometimes I'd cry with her because she had lost everything in some ways. But then watching her connect with that youth group find a sense of home, find a family. You know, I mean, we loved her like a family, and she would come every week. And today she's doing really well, you know, and so I get to see how she's got a family of her own, and she's doing amazing in her career, and it's amazing. But yeah, just to watch her story, and then I realized so many of these kids are going through that, like they're going through estrangement from their families and struggling, and even beginning to struggle with addiction. And so the seeds were planted there of just like, if we can, as a church, make room for people's sorrow, like that's like a huge piece of God's grace, you know. It's like, just allow that space and walk with people and show up for them. And I was really blessed by that. And then as time has gone by and I've ended up in prison ministry, I remember talking with my wife one night, and she was just like, a lot of these folks behind the walls of prison were those kids. Yeah. It's the same people. And that kid is in there a lot of times, just that pain that they walk through. It's the same people. And I was like, oh, dang, like, it's such a blessing to be a part of that. Like, if we can meet people in those spaces. And so we had this rowdy youth group back then. I mean, we had to replace holes in the drywall, and it was the 90s. So we were doing strobe light dodgeball and crazy food games. We had a blast, but at the same time, there was this both sides of that, right? Like where we're making these deeper connections out of empathy as well. So it was pretty amazing. But yeah, that's where a lot of the seeds were planted for me.
So you were already instilled with the service aspect of this before you did the 12 steps.
Yeah. And before I even went into addiction heavily, I would say, which is, I mean, I'm not even proud to admit that, but I was in a sense of some service work and some sense of ministry. And then I ended up struggling more personally as I went, you know, with my own issues. And so that gave me even a further, it's like we all have our stuff. We all have our things we're walking in.
Yeah. So as coming out of addiction and being an alcoholic yourself, was it a natural transformation into, because I mean, I don't know numbers or anything, but it seems like a lot of the people in prison are addicted or trauma like you wouldn't believe. You see a story on 24 or Dateline or whatever, and it's like, you know, he was a wonderful person and he did this and you know, and then all of a sudden, boom, right? But there's something else in there. There's always, I mean, addiction, I believe, is drugs and alcohol are a symptom.
Absolutely.
You know, like there's a lot more going on, which is why I love the 12 steps so much.
Yeah, for sure.
But that connection, is that what kind of leads you into this? As if, you know, all right, as a kid, I did this with the other people my age. Then, you know, I deal with my own addiction, and you kind of plug them both together and go, all right. Because you have, and this is hard to explain to people who are not an alcoholic or addict, we tend to listen to each other.
For sure.
But we don't listen because we all automatically, I had this thought, I shouldn't say we, but I had this thought of, you don't understand this.
For sure.
I don't understand it, but you understand it less. Like, you know, why don't you just stop? You know, that is like telling your wife, calm down. Like, you know what I mean? Like it
runs deeper than that.
Yeah. Well, why don't I just stop? Do you think I'm not trying to?
Exactly. Absolutely.
You think I like throwing up every morning? You know, like it's
not that simple, right?
It's not that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a piece of that. And there's a piece of, for me, it's like addiction is all about isolation when we're going into that. And there's deeper reasons why we do that. There's deeper pain we're carrying. There's things that do go all the way back to childhood a lot of the time that we've never dealt with, that we haven't faced. And so for me, I think personally, I identify so much with it too. You know, like growing up, and I think I talked about this on the last pod, but it's like I lost my leg at 3 years old, right? Yeah. Went through this big accident. I always felt like marked as someone different, marked as an outsider. Like there was this kind of defining thing almost about me that put me like on the edges. And so I've always like felt for that, you know, which is such a part of incarceration. Like, again, that feeling like you're on the margins. And so for me, I'm super passionate about like, how do we fight that isolation and bring people into community where they know they can belong, and religion wise too. Some, you know, for a lot of people, faith communities and religious communities feel, again, like I'm an outsider, like I don't belong here. Like this is for people who have it together. This is for people who can present a certain way. I love my Reform background, but even there, church was often very orderly. big pipe organ, very structured worship where it felt like, okay, like I don't have it together like that. Like that's not, whereas God to me is like willing to meet us anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's that quote, I forget who said it, but it's like, you know, religion tells us how to find God, but grace tells us where God will find us. And like that to me is so big, is that like God is not just this structured, have it together to come to me. Right. God, it's like he'll meet us in those places
wherever you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a hard thing for me to, I spent so much time hiding, you know, drunk or sober.
Yeah. Same
like
here.
Hiding from God. Like I thought I could hide from him, you know, but like, well, I'm doing this, but I'm not talking to him right now. But then later on I'll be like, hey, you know, I just was thinking, you know, I just thank you. It's such a weird thing. In the church itself, I love church. I go to church. But it's not everything.
Yeah.
My relationship is what is helping me.
Absolutely.
You know, but I'm all for community. My wife and I just had it out about this because I'm like, I don't need to go to church. I have a relationship with Jesus. That's the most important thing. And then she knows the Bible better than me, and she pulled out a bunch of things about community and different things. And then the next thing you know, I'm sitting there in khaki pants. But it's such a cool thing for prisoners to, because you can still drink in prison. You can still do drugs in prison.
Absolutely.
I mean,
you can, for
it's
sure.
not, and people think like, well, they need to go to prison to clean them up. That ain't going to clean them up. I mean, I am for people being punished for what they do. I mean, I'm not saying like you kill somebody and we shouldn't prosecute you because you had a hard time as a kid. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is we can have empathy for them.
Yes.
And we can show love to them because they are as much God's kid as I am or you are or Asa, or not so much Colin, but everybody else, you know? You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
You know, like we're all God's kids. And yeah, we mess up. Some of us mess up big time. Some of us mess up a little bit, but that standing on a mountain, looking down on everybody going, you don't deserve this. And you don't, yes, they do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And Jesus said, what you do to the least of us, you do unto me. I'm paraphrasing, but
well, and just like in Jesus' ministry, he's constantly interacting with these crowds of people.
Yeah,
and he's finding these people in the crowd, like Zacchaeus and like the lady with the bleeding issue, where it's like these are people who have been like shunned and ostracized, and Jesus like almost just makes them a lesson on the spot of like, let's talk about this guy right here.
Yeah,
because
Matthew.
He's going to teach you all something.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, and he picked people. That's what I was trying to, I ran out of time, but that's what I was trying to get across is like, you can take your story and turn it into something beautiful. You did. You know, like you can take whatever it is you've done. It's like you're going to jack stuff up, but what are you going to do with it?
Absolutely.
Right? And those guys, when they get out, have a story. Just forget about the faith part of it, just intriguing of where people will listen to them when they say like, hey, listen, I mean, I do. As soon as someone says, I just got out of prison, my ears perk up.
Yeah.
Because just in the simple fact that the story is going to be, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, what's this going to be like?
Well, and I think the richness of it partly is they've had to like dig deep, most of them at some point. Like when you've been in prison, you're alone at night on that bunk, you're replaying what happened. There's all this shame. You've maybe even been in the media for what you did. So your name, you're tagged. And so when you're in that bunk at night, maybe you have some contact with people, but very limited. Maybe you have 10 years left to go still. There's a point where most of them tell me, a lot of folks have told me, like, I had to dig deep to a place that to even go on. Like, it's like there's a choice I had to make that it was still worth continuing, you know?
Yeah.
And that sort of spiritual environment in a person, I think things are formed there that are hard to simulate. It's like this kind of like ground of change that happens in a person. And so I think because of that perseverance, like so many of the guys, especially I talk with, they inspire me because it's like, man, if you can dig deep when you're isolated, when you're struggling that way, and you can come out and smile and connect and be this inspiring human being, then maybe I can as well. It's like, dude, you've come back from this amazing gut punch in your life. And you're walking and breathing and you're like a living testimony. That's amazing.
And in recovery, you know, people say, change your surroundings, change who you're hanging out with. they can't do that.
Yeah, no choice to do
Like
that.
your cellmate, you can't be like, you know what, I'm going to change my attitude and I'm going to hang out with different people. And no, you're not.
Yeah.
Not until you finish your time.
Yeah. So you have to like persevere
That too.
as well. Yeah, absolutely. Which would have been really hard for me because like in early recovery for me, I had to change who I hung out with, set
too.
those boundaries, and I did, and it was very lonely at first. But these guys in incarceration, like the inspiring part for me is they also have to move through that piece and navigate a difficult setting while trying to get sober and reconnect spiritually with God and do all these things that have to happen to get healthy. And
And at the same time, keep some sort of bravado, so that you're not, I mean, you'd be playing like 5 different parts at one time with nowhere to go. And it's just so, it just is so, and what do you say, like, as you're, and this is going to be pretty vague, but I saw what you did in the meeting you had, which was killer, man. But because we have people that listen who have been incarcerated and are getting back to, this just happened. I don't know if I should say it. Well, I'm not going to say his name, but there's a guy that I picked up to give a ride to out of a meeting, and he had just been incarcerated. And he goes, man, he goes, I just got out of prison and I'm trying to get used to, being back out. He goes, it's so ridiculous. He goes, I got to prison for 14 years for selling a little bit of weed. And now they're selling it at stores. You can walk right in and get it. And I got to do 14 years for it. And I was like, dude, I go, what's a little bit of weed? He goes, 1,700 pounds. I was like,
just a little chunk.
Yeah. They're selling it by the counter, but not in bags of 1,700 pounds. Yeah. But like, what do you say to them? Like when they're about to get out or right after they get out? When I see guys come and they live in a halfway house or, or they are coming to meetings and they're trying so hard. Like when you get out and you're out there, is it go to meetings? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think every situation is a little bit different, but I mean, we have it's a true treasure to be connected with the bigger church, right? So it's like
And by the way, what's the name of the church?
Northern Lighthouse Church. Yeah.
Northern Lighthouse Church, you guys rule. For a church to step up and allow prisoners to come in and use their facilities, so many churches won't let you. They love Sundays and they love all that, but it's like, hey, what about the homeless? Well, we can't have them come in here; they'll tear the walls up. You know what I mean? So, what's it called again?
Northern Lighthouse. Yeah.
Northern Lighthouse. I freaking love you. That is awesome.
So, I mean, that's one of the big pieces, right, is we're always just like, for those that have been going to church as well, it's like stay connected and reach out for help when you know you need help. And there's so much pride we struggle with. I struggle with it. It's like, man, you're hitting that vulnerable place. Something happened. You don't know how to respond to it. There's something triggering you. Maybe you applied for jobs and your background made it difficult to get the job you want. Maybe a family member has cut you off again. I mean, a lot of people have to like relive some of their past when they get out of prison because it's like you've been able to compartmentalize to some level behind the walls. It's like it feels kind of like this almost like artificial sim reality of some type.
Right.
And now you're out in the world and it's like those memories are hitting you. Maybe you go back home. I had a guy who was still inside, you know what I mean? And he out in his past from the prison, he wanted to go to the cemetery because he'd been doing meth with a gal that got a hot shot and died while they were doing meth together. And that was his first stop, to put flowers at her grave, because he knew once he got out, he was going to face this sort of grief. So I took him there, and then we went and got euros afterward, and that was our past. But he let some things out there because it's like you've got to face some of those tough things that happen pre-prison that are going to slap you in the face again. And having someone to do that with, just as a witness, process it, pray through it, walk through that, it's going to help you to face life. But that's one of the things we always talk about is when you're hitting those things, reach out, like make the phone call. Ask for help. Show up at church, even if you don't feel like showing up.
See, that gets back to going against what I said to my wife about I walk with Jesus. I don't need, and she's like, no, we need the community. We need to be surrounded by like-minded people. And it seems like what you're saying is they come from a place of being surrounded by like-minded people from when they were doing bad things. Mm-hmm. You need to have that same thing. Surround yourself not imprison yourself, but
you need a new
but
community.
you need a new community.
Absolutely.
And you need to rely on that community and find trust again. I can't imagine you're very trustworthy when you're in prison.
It's all about building that again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's cool with our churches, it's like probably 30 to 40% of the folks there are incarcerated, and probably another 30 to 40% have been incarcerated. So you're talking about probably 70 to 80% have been incarcerated at some point. So it's like the message we're bringing to people is like, you've got some people who at least understand part of this, right? Like
Right.
they've got
The
some
community.
empathy. They've got some empathy for the struggles, man. They have also felt labeled and pushed to the side. So it's like, grab onto that community when you're hitting these things that are tough.
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching people too that are trying to get life going again from like no money in the bank a lot of times, or very little, need to find a place to stay, need to keep establishing a career. I mean, you're rebuilding life basically. And so there's a lot of challenges with that.
Yeah.
Like it's not an easy process, and you get setbacks, and
It's like you're starting over, but you're not on level ground.
absolutely.
You're starting from, you got to get back to level before you can even get to try to move up. And addicts feel down and out anyway. You feel kind of ostracized, and you've created it. I did.
Yeah, same here.
I acted in a way that put myself in that position, while at the same time feeling like they were doing it to me, which is a weird dynamic when you look back at it. Like, how could I have gotten there?
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know?
like I feel like I put myself in a place where I was starting over because of my addiction and my mentality.
Yeah.
And so I can appreciate that. Like, it's like you feel like, man, there was a time in my life where I felt like I got like nothing going right now.
Right.
Like I've torched my relationships. None of those worked.
Yeah.
I left my job. You know what I mean? I went chasing this relationship. I'm deep in this substance. And it's like, I got to start all over. And that's overwhelming, alone. But that beautiful process then of rebuilding and going into recovery, and then you find that new community and you make those steps. It's also exciting. Like I've seen people start from that place where they feel so torn down, and now they're putting in good place. They're in a good place in their life, and they've put in the pieces, right? And it's awesome to be a part of that.
Money can't buy the feeling of reward you get when you watch somebody get better.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't buy that. You can't fake it. You can't. I mean, that is one of the truest things and that's what Jesus did. He lifted every single person he was with, he lifted up.
Yeah.
And he went into the trenches to get them. It's just that, to me, is what Christianity is. People have so many. There are people that are church hurt. There are people that are, mad. Most of the time when they say they're mad at God, they're mad at a church. Yeah. I find, at least in the recovery circles I'm in, it's like, I believe in God. Especially when they first come in, and it's like, why? What did God do to you? Well, I went to this church, and how could he let this happen to the kid at the thing? And it's like, that wasn't God, dude.
The church is broken too.
We're people. Everyone's broken.
Community is super messy.
Yeah, and you're not ever going to be fixed. It's not a matter of like you're a broken stick and all of a sudden it forms all the way back together. You're still going to have splinters in there, man. Nobody's perfect. There was one dude that was perfect, and we ain't him.
Yeah. On this side of heaven, it's a broken world.
It's a broken world.
And that's such a big hurdle as coming in recovery. I've always struggled. Like I've struggled with life on life's terms. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be messy. Community is going to be messy. Relationships are messy. You acquire baggage, but yet it's worth it.
Totally worth it.
In the end, like it's a beautiful thing too.
I have buddies that have gone and spoken at prisons, and then guys that get out, you see in meetings, or they live in a halfway house or whatever. Are there other programs like yours around? Yeah,
there's certainly some. Like Omaha has a work release prison, and there's a church I believe called Empty Tomb that does work there. And then there's a lot of inside prison stuff.
Yeah, see, that's what I always hear about.
Brothers in Blue, like they go into, I used to do that program. They go into prison for like 4 days straight. You eat the food, you hang out in a gymnasium, you do baptisms, and you teach about Christianity, and you eat and hang out together. It's an amazing fellowship too. So there's a lot of programs like that too that come in.
Dude, you are living it, man.
It's a good time, man.
And the thing is, that's what people wouldn't think. Like in the little bit of stuff that I do, the rewards, God set our souls up to get a payoff for doing loving, kind things in His light.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Like our bodies are set up to be like, I mean, why would we feel good when we do good? You know what I mean? Like he set us up for that. Like we're built to love and help other people. And anger and all that stuff, look what that does to our lives.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you can't stay, nobody's perfect, but I mean, just making an effort, just taking the path, just walking with them a little bit. There's a reason why we get, I don't know if it's endorphins or whatever it is, but it's like, oh man,
it's amazing.
That was freaking killer. I left there the other night after I only talked for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it was. But I left there feeling like, oh, that's how I used to feel when I did stand up. And it's all because God was showing me through wonderful feelings. Like when people would leave a show and they're like, dude, that's so funny. I love, whatever, this is so funny. And one guy would walk by and go, hey man, I heard you talk about your recovery on the radio, and I've been sober for a year.
Amen.
And I just love what you're doing. And that made me like, not because of me. I know it's God. I mean, I'm just so everybody knows, I'm not that smart. Before I talk, I pray, God, you take it, man, because I will mess it up. I hope I don't. But
Amen.
if you got it, then just blah, blah, just let it out. And it has helped me so much in that it takes nerves away. You know what I mean?
There's a peace with it.
There's peace with it. And it's such a cool thing. And I could see in those guys talking, they weren't afraid to be honest. I mean, because I'm sure in prison, if they were like, what do you want to do? They're not going to go, I want to go get an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they're sitting around with a bunch of dudes in the yard, they're like,
there's like a tough aspect to it.
You got to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
And
which is, I mean, I remember one night I brought a few guys who had gotten out to RIP, and then I took them home afterward because they didn't have wheels yet. So I was giving them a ride. They wanted to stop at the ice cream cone stand on the edge of town. So we stopped. We all got ice cream. We're outside. It's a summer night. It's like 85 degrees. They see all these families and the stars are coming out. And I was like ready to get back in the car and go. And they were standing in the parking lot and they were like, Jon, like, this is it right here. Like, you have no idea, like, behind the walls of prison, how long I waited just to be like out on a summer night, just enjoying an ice cream cone with some friends. This is like the best thing ever. And I'm just like, oh man, like I would have flown right through this moment. But when you've been in that much isolation, it's like those little things are all like the vibrancy of them. It's almost like being a kid again, Dude,
and that's how you feel when you get sober.
Yeah, for sure.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like going to the batting cage.
There's like a joy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just bought a BMX bike.
Nice.
And my wife just got she's a,
that's awesome.
I already talked about it, but like you have this rejuvenated childlike excitement about, and you start to realize how good, when you were a kid, stuff that made you feel so good.
Yes.
And you do it again and you find yourself with that same feeling. And it's like, why was I running from this so much? Why did I think this was so stupid? Like I remember first getting sober and birds and like a rainy day. I was like, I love this, man. Yeah. Just kind of chill out. But I had forgotten about how great, silly, that stuff I thought was stupid.
Addiction robs us of a lot.
It steals everything,
It steals
man.
a lot of that. Yeah.
It steals all of it. And the excitement and the childlike, like Christmas. Like it's like Christmas is so much, it's kids and fun and going to church on Christmas Eve and eating a big dinner and all this stuff and paying attention to people. Even if you were sitting, even if I was sitting there when I was boozing it up real good, I wasn't listening to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like those connections and just I feel like addiction robs us of so much of the simplicity of life, like living like with what's right in front of us. I mean, I remember not that long after getting sober, I picked up golfing, right? And I was just out on the course. And it's crazy. Like I was up on the hill on a green. I was golfing by myself, just listening to music. But I never used to do that stuff when I was in addiction. Like I just had like no hobbies, no healthy things. I remember being on the top of the fringe by the green overlooking the city. And it's like a summer morning. And I was just like, dude, like this is it. Like I'm like happy. Like this is a simple, joyful, like the birds are chirping. I was like in the moment again. And it's like those feelings start coming back to you. It's amazing.
I never could be alone sober.
Yeah, same here.
Like now I too love to golf by myself, listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan and have 4.5 hours. I play on public courses, so 5.5 hours. I blew through all that money. But, you know, it's $50, $40, whatever. And going out and being alone, sober with my thoughts, because I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's where I can think. That's where I can, you know, and golf's one of those things where you have to focus on, you can't think about 50 other things.
Absolutely not.
My brain spins out all over the place. I think Joe Rogan said that about archery.
It's like meditative.
It is, because if you think about anything else, you are going to lose that ball.
Or the ball's going to be woo.
Yeah, or you're going to jack somebody in the head. Like, it's like, it
Which
can
has
be
almost
dangerous.
happened many
Yeah,
times.
me too.
4.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that's all you have to do to hit somebody in the head. But being able to be alone and not be drunk.
And be at peace in yourself.
Yeah. And just kind of feel, I'm okay, man. I'm okay. Death was a big thing for me. Like, I've always thought about death. I went through a lot of it as a younger person, and friends and friends and friends and suicide. And, you know, like, so I was always like, death, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I'm just being honest. Sometimes I'm like, watch the news and I'm like, hey, man, whenever you're ready to come on back.
Come, Lord Jesus.
Come on. We can do it now, you know? So what would you say to somebody, because a lot of people that watch this are in programs, and I've never sponsored anybody who was just released from prison. That would, I'm just being honest, that would throw me a little bit. Like this is going to take extra work, or this is going to take this, or don't say this because you might do this. And if they tell you this, you know what I mean? Like, do you have any advice for somebody out there in a recovery program that?
Man, like, I mean, I think a lot of us have that anxiety about that kind of thing, like about relationships and about service work. There's an anxiety underneath of like, am I getting this right? Like, am I nailing this? Am I saying the wrong thing? Am I saying the right thing? And it's like, to me, it's like so much of it's about showing up for people, you know, like faithful, like service and showing up is like so much of the battle, because people, especially getting out of prison, they want to know, like, you'll stick with me, right? Like you're there, like, and that's what I struggle with that at times, right? Because showing up, there's a tax on that. It takes some energy, like the late night phone call or the spontaneous counseling session or the listening ear, like that all takes something, but at the same time, there's like such a beautiful piece of it. But yeah, to me, it's so much about showing up and consistency, because in addiction, nothing is consistent. I feel like everything is just
Except the drugs.
You know,
yeah.
Absolutely. It's like the substance is consistent. Everything else is kind of scattershot.
Yeah.
And so that consistency for people, man, is huge.
And I'm sure there's trust issues with people right out of being incarcerated
For
too.
sure.
Like, you're going to bail on me. Everybody bails on me, you know, like.
A lot of triggers, you know what I'm saying? And you're not going to be perfect in showing up for, you know, it's like boundaries come in too. It's like, maybe I did miss a call. Or maybe I didn't feel like I was there right at that moment because something was going on with my family. And the other side of that can be hard, right? Because it's like, that's a trigger. Like, are you going to show up for me? So there's this like, almost like mutual anxiety in setting up a kind of relationship like that. But over time, as you work through that, the big thing is just sticking in that relationship, just sticking with people.
Yeah.
We're all going to fail too. It's like, we see relapses, we see the struggle. We see the struggle of like reintegrating with a family, what that looks like. We're all going to have those ups and downs where, man, like we mess up sometimes. And it's like showing that faithfulness, showing up for someone, letting them know, hey, you relapsed, like it's okay. Like, big thing is don't go down, it's a speed bump. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Like, we love you no matter what, man. Like, and that's a relapse, but by the grace of God, go I anyways. And so let's get back on the horse kind of thing, you know? So I think that's a lot of it too.
It's weird too, because like, I always feel weird if I say, well, relapse is normal. Because I don't want people to think, well, if it's normal, then, you know, whatever.
Why not go relapse?
Because I did it, and it's a lot harder to get back in, especially the longer time you spend out there. I went years, you know, a couple years, and it was tougher to go back. And
it's tough.
Yeah, and it's so I don't encourage it, but if you have, it's not the end. It's
there's grace for it.
You're still here, man. You're still here. And I learned a lot from my relapse. Don't relapse so you can learn from it, but like, I learned a lot from it, like how weak I am.
It's very humbling.
The main thing I learned was how it's easily I can get back into woe is me, nothing's my fault. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's tough. It's really tough.
And those thoughts can come in quick, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, that's humbling too. Even I've been sober over 10 years, but I still get those, you know what I mean? Like you go through things. It's like just a few weeks ago, like I woke up one morning and my dog, my German Shepherd, had suddenly passed away right by the foot of my bed. You know what I'm saying? And that was like my buddy. Like we walked like every evening for like 5 years together. Big part of me getting healthy. I still struggle with my health, but kind of healthy anyways.
Yeah.
But I woke up to him passed away at the foot of my bed, man. And one of my first thoughts was like, man, I want to drink.
Yeah.
Like, dude, this is painful. Like I do not,
Yeah.
I'm not doing well. Today is hard. Like, and that was a humbling thought right there. It's like, yeah, those temptations are real. It's like, but working through that, you know, being real emotionally, talking to my wife, having some tears. It's like just learning to, again, process those things sober. Super beautiful, because
and learning,
that's where I want to be, man. Is I want to be someone that can have that happen and still get up and go to work.
Yeah.
And process it healthily, you know,
and not having to and allowing the feelings to come out as opposed to shoving them back down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is also messy, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, especially when you're not used to actually feeling.
For sure.
You know, like you feel things, but I mean, really feeling like, and really crying or really laughing.
Yeah.
You know, really all those things that I hadn't felt in forever. And I've been sober 9 years and I'm still learning every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I never want to come across as I think I know everything, because I do not.
Yeah.
And I always say to even people I've talked to in programs, like, don't look to me. I'm gonna do everything I can for you, but don't look to me. God can do it. I can't. Yeah. So all I'm doing is telling you what I learned.
That's a great way to approach people.
Yeah. You know, and hoping that we drop some seeds.
Yeah.
And that something is in there. So when you think back, you remember this moment in a way that will encourage you or guide you to Jesus. Like anything out of there, I mean, I'm going to let you down. You know, I mean, there's times at 2:00 in the morning, the phone rings and I'm like,
Yeah.
and it'll ring and ring and it'll stop. And I'm lay there and I'm like, okay. And I call him back because it's like, you know, I'm still selfish. I'm not an angel, you know, and it's like, I got to get up in 4 hours.
Showing up.
You got to show up. And people did that for me. And so who am I to say it was good enough for me, but not good enough for me to do for somebody else? You know, like,
yeah. And I think it helps us to show up when like we take the controls off and stop trying to fix and stop trying to manage everybody else. And we just really, for me, it's the learning thing of just being there with an open mind and loving people, man, and just showing up as much as you can, open to what God's doing with it, but not having to manage and control it all. That helps us show up, I think. But it's a big learn. I mean, it's a big learning thing.
yeah, we got to quit and get rid of the habit of trying to be God.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I always say to people too, you know, like if you're working with someone and they die, you're not responsible for that. If you're working with somebody and they get better, you're not responsible for that.
Yeah.
God is.
Yeah.
And you have to let life be life, right? And kind of, because if you take that on, I mean, I've lost people.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, what did I do wrong? Why couldn't I have done this? If I'd have said this, maybe I'd have saved him. If I did, but it's not you.
It's a tough one.
And that goes back to praying before you talk to somebody, because it's God's will that's going to be done anyway.
Yeah.
So if you let God do the talking for you as much as you can, that sounds odd to say out loud, but I really do. I'm like, Jesus, I'm gonna need you today, man. This is gonna be tough. Please guide me. Please put the words in my mouth. Please take it and make me a vessel or whatever it is to be there for them. But if you can't take responsibility for the death or the good,
Too much self-glory there.
it's way too much. You're playing God, and also you can't live like that.
It's a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, we had a gentleman come through the RIP program. He was 39, came through my class. I was teaching a class called Chaos. It's written by someone who went through incarceration. It's a beautiful book, Noah Asher. He was part of my small group at RIP, and he was working for the trash company, got his CDL, driving, doing amazing, and just one of the warmest people I've ever met. Like, we connected right away, but he struggled when he got out of prison, and not that long ago, they found his body under the bridge. and we don't even know for sure what happened, but I believe it's probably an overdose.
Right.
But it's like you see things like that, and it's like I struggled with internalizing that. Exactly what you're talking about. It's like, what could I have done to stop this? You know what I mean? Because you feel that inside, like that sorrow for it, but it's like at the same time, we can't play God like that. Like there's so much going on in people's lives that you can't over-own those things either. That's a big learning piece. You know?
It is. And you know, and I hear people say like, I worked with this guy and now he's got this and he's got that and da-da-da. And it's because I can do that very easily, you know, take credit for the good and I forgot about the bad. And I have to consciously remind myself, that's not you, dude. That's not you. It wasn't any person that got me sober. It was God. Yeah. So why now, when it comes time to take credit, I'm on, you know, I saved that guy's life. And someone's like, well, then that means you killed the other, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you can't, it's not ours.
Yeah.
It's not everybody, you know, I have kids, but they're God's kids.
Yeah.
You know, I have family, but they're God's kids too. I have people that I can't stand. They're God's kids too. Like, I've tried to play God, you know, for so long, especially, you know, for the 20 years of boozing or whatever, 25, whatever it was. Like I thought I was in control of everything. Then when things spun out of control, that wasn't my fault. But when they went great, that was all me. You know, and that's a sick way to live.
Yeah, there's a big letting go that has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
For me, it's a shaving off. Like nothing, I didn't become an alcoholic overnight, and I'm not going to heal my wounds overnight either.
It's a time. Yeah, it's going to take time.
It is. Because some people will be like, dude, I heard you talk. How long you been sober? Like 6 months? I'm like, 9 years. 9 years. They're like, why are you so excited about it? I'm like, I don't know. I go, I'm a slow learner, so it's coming out in smaller pieces, you know?
The longer you go, though, it's like the more exciting it gets to me.
It is.
I think.
And you feel it more.
Yeah.
And you feel almost, or I feel like I have something to give. You know, like I don't do this because I think I'm smart. This is really something that means so much to me. And I probably drive people nuts talking about it all the time.
No, that's awesome.
But it's like, I can't get enough of it.
It's a passion project.
Yeah. It's a passion in something. It's bizarre because it's something, you know, when people say like, congratulations on, and it's like, congratulations on what? Not being a jackass? Like, what am I,
That's part of it. Probably.
Let's have some cake. I'm not a jackass anymore. You know,
that
like,
sounds like a good celebration holiday to me. Like,
it's like, you know, hey, Reno, we're going to have a cake because you stopped catching stuff on fire. Like, it's like, you know, it's got to, we have a national day for everything. Why don't we have a national don't be a jackass day?
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
It's a big piece of the whole human journey.
It is. Just don't be a jackass. You know,
harder than it seems.
It
you
is.
Know what I mean?
I'm still one, but it's like, try. Just make an attempt to not. You know. So for the guys that are out there that are newly released and are in a halfway house or going to meetings or things like that, it sounds like what you're saying is community is extremely important.
Absolutely, and just reaching out when you know you need help. Yeah. And being vulnerable and trusting that process. You know what I mean? And persevering, like we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to feel that. Finding those pieces we talked about that are healthy, that's such a blessing. You know, finding those outlets, they help you feel more stable so that when things do come against you, you've got things you enjoy. The relationship with God's the biggest thing though, right? Like when you're hitting those tests, you know, prayer, and just knowing that God's with you, trusting God in that whole thing, which can be harder than it seems, you know what I mean? But trusting Him, drawing close to Him when you're struggling. Yeah. All those pieces are a big piece of it, I think.
Yeah, and finding people, you know, it's like, I think God, when I was a kid and I hear somebody say, God spoke to me, I'm like, shut up, dude. You know, because I thought they were talking about from the clouds and you must do that.
I used to feel that way too.
But now I feel more like God puts people in our lives. And if we're not in a community and we're just isolated, he can't put anybody in our lives. Yeah. You're not around anybody. Yeah. And this is not to, I am proud of what I do for this organization, but all I do is the golf tournament and I speak at some events. But there's a group called A Soldier's Child that I've worked with for 16 years. And it's kids who have lost their parents that served in the military, and it started out losing their parents in war, but now 70% of it's PTSD suicide. We treat it the same way because they wouldn't have had PTSD if they did. But what's beautiful, the coolest thing about this, and I don't work at the camps that they do, but the kids who first came up that went to the camps are now the counselors.
That's
so
beautiful.
like a kid who lost their parent goes into a classroom and they're sitting there and nobody understands what it's like if your parent committed suicide, but they go to the camp and the counselors have been through the same thing.
That's beautiful.
So there's a connection. So I was just thinking about that when I was thinking about guys getting out. And it's finding people that you have a similar goal with, right? Like, so if you've been newly released, it would seem to me, and tell me what you think about this, but it would seem to me if you could find people, you're going to find tons of people with addictions.
Yeah.
They may not have been in prison, but if you can find somebody as a sponsor who identifies with maybe a little more than just your addiction.
It's huge.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
So the importance of people who have been incarcerated staying involved in these recovery groups is monumental.
Absolutely. Like one of our RIP teachers, he runs one of our small groups. He has 5 numbers behind his name, 5. So he's been through that journey 5 times, but he's learning how to like put life together, and he's doing amazing today. He really is. He's doing well, but it's like he's had tremendous struggles with getting reincarcerated, falling back into old ways.
Yeah.
But he's teaching the class, man, and people respond to him. Like they resonate because it's like he's walked through a lot of those things that they're walking in. And so there's such a beauty to finding those purposes. Like when we can find those, the purpose in community is huge.
Yeah.
And just so many times it's like, I'll be, even in my journey, it's like people from our church, I'm going through something or things are on my mind, and I'll get a text, that someone's like just tracking with exactly what I'm processing. Like they're speaking like God is using them to speak in my life.
Yeah.
And it's uncanny. Like it's crazy. You can't script it.
No, and it's one of those things where it makes it impossible to not believe. For
Absolutely.
me, like I can question everything. I mean, I still have thoughts of like, well, what if I'm doing, especially the deeper I get into it and the more I believe, I still have thoughts like, well, what if this isn't right? Like, what if it's not? And then all I have to do is think back to, do you remember when God did this? Do you remember when God did this? Do you remember when God did this? Okay. Yeah, I have no questions. But it's little things like that, as small as a text. And the other thing is that it sucks. And I'm not ever saying somebody should get into deep trouble and be close to death or be in prison or anything. But it's like Rocky. There is not a better story than redemption.
Absolutely.
And God will give it to you. And you can create a beautiful story out of any mess you've made.
For sure.
And I mean, think about it. Like if somebody, and I'm not trying to take up for those of us that have done bad things, but if you listen to somebody who's like, yeah, I had a hard time during this. What happened? Oh, my dog ran away and we found him, and it's like, yeah, that's an interesting story. If you're like, I spent 20 years in prison and now I'm leading a worship service for, you just go, whoa, dude, because the contrasts are so big.
Absolutely.
And you can't, it kills me. I just want to drive into people's heads like, you are always redeemable.
And it's such a powerful test. I mean, it's such a like hands-on way to point the glory to God. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that change that guys can create who have been incarcerated, that change can truly change other people's lives.
Yeah.
Stuff I feel guilty that I did, nothing makes me feel better than righting that wrong and putting it in a way where someone else goes, man, that helped me. There's such a buzz from helping somebody. I probably shouldn't put it in those words on a recovery thing, but do you know what I mean? Like there's such a buzz of like, oh man.
Yeah.
And you sleep better and the whole thing.
Even small differences we can make for each other. There is a buzz there for sure.
And if we think back,
having that purpose, man, it's huge.
It is.
Yeah.
And if we think back to what helped us in recovery, to me, it was the little things, not the grandiose.
Yeah.
It was a little word of encouragement. And those little tiny things that people discount are miracles to me.
Absolutely.
Dude, I have loved talking to you again. And would you give everybody the information of your program if they want to help or?
Sure. Yeah. It's the Lincoln, Nebraska Reintegration Program. That's the recovery group on Mondays, and then we have our churches, the Northern Lighthouse Church, on Sundays. Yeah.
I love it.
In Lincoln.
I was there. It's legit. It's the real deal.
Yeah, it was great having your story. Man, we could have had you go for 2 hours.
Well,
it was awesome.
I'm a little chatty. I could have gone.
No, for
We'd
real,
still
though.
be
I
there.
was like, dang, it was a blessing to have you there.
Well, I'll tell you something. If you ever want me to come back, I will be back. Whenever I come back to Nebraska, whatever I can do to help you guys, I freaking loved it.
That's awesome.
I loved it. And I love you. And I appreciate
man.
what you're doing, man. And I love getting to know you a little bit better. We don't hang out all the time, but in the time that we're together,
For sure.
you know, and when you have that connection with somebody who's also an alcoholic, you kind of automatically, it's like guys that are in the Army or whatever, they see someone else in the Army and they know how to talk to each other. It's the same thing.
It's amazing.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's a beautiful group, and I know God's all over it, man. And I just thank you for what you're doing, and I thank your church too, because that's a problem I have with churches sometimes. Is it's like, don't say this on Sunday, and then when it's time to do this, we go, not us. It's like, no, you. You know, don't talk about it if you're not going to do it. Anyway, I don't need to get into all that. I got enough problems in my life. I do love my church, but you know what I'm saying. You guys, thank you so much for checking out Alive and Sober. I hope you enjoyed hearing Jon, and we dropped some seeds, put a little light in your heart. And as always, if no one told you they love you today, I do. Thanks, y'all.